Hi everyone, this is Tuplex. I've been doing a little planning to prepare to build up the rest of the base. So I'm using the Kirk McDonald Factorio calculator. I'll include a link for this in the description of the video so that you can see all these calculations if you want to. And what I've done is I've put in the 6 science packs that I want to be producing. So this is everything except military science. I'm not planning to include military science in the 1,000 per minute objective. And you'll notice here that I'm actually planning for 1,100 per minute of each science pack because I want to give myself another 10% capacity over what I want the production output to be. So, that way if there's any inefficiencies or, late deliveries of components to the factories, I should still be able to make the number that I'm shooting for, which is 1,000 a minute. So, I plugged these in. I selected the tier 3 assembly machines, in pretty much every case. And then for most machines, I'm going to be using productivity modules, right? 4 of those, wherever I can use productivity modules. And then my plan is, for the most part, or at least wherever I can, to surround each assembly machine with 12 beacons with speed module 3s. So when I plug in all that, it tells me how many factories I need to make each of the various items. Now, some items like inserters and belts, those can't use productivity modules. So for those, I left the modules blank. And I'm also thinking that if I can't use productivity modules, I probably won't use beacons either. Because the beacons are, they do speed things up. But, for some things like an inserter, where at base speed, you're getting one every half a second. If I boosted this by, 600% speed or whatever that is with 12 beacons around it, it's just going to be cranking these out so fast that it'll be hard to have enough inserters to take it out. So for things that have like a half-second cycle and don't use productivity, I'll probably just have those as standalone machines. So in this case, it would be 5.3. Which I would obviously have to round up to 6. Okay. Now the electric furnaces, for example, that has a 5-second cycle time. So in that case, I will just load the assembler with speed modules. Electric furnaces, of course, I'll have productivity and speed modules all the way around. Let's see. Rails. This is another one. This one gives you 2 items every half a second. So again, I don't want to speed up those machines too much because it'll get to the point where it's too fast for the inserters to keep up. We could maybe put 1 speed module in, or maybe 2. I don't know. But for now, I'm just going to plan to just let those machines run without assistance. Now, in that case, we'll need 26 of them, which sounds like an awful lot, but I don't think the calculator's wrong. Those are for, production science packs. They take 30 rails each, so we're going to be making lots and lots of rails. Let's see what else. It also tells me how many mining drills I'm going to need for each of the raw materials. This is based on 30% productivity, mining productivity, which is what we have before we start using space science. So if we come down here and look, for example, on iron, I'm going to need 1,667 mining drills. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get that many mining drills out of the area that I have reserved for the base right now. Perhaps not. But over time, we can get more and more mining productivity once we get the base running. So if I can get close to that number, then I'll probably just be satisfied with having a low number and then just let the base ramp up as I get more levels of mining productivity researched. We'll need 35 refineries. So it's going to be a big base. If we look at smelting, let's see, where was iron plate? Yeah, I'm going to need 468 electric furnaces for iron. Of course, many of those are going to be going into steel, 310 for steel. So actually more than half of those furnaces are going to be used to make steel. The other thing is, if we look at, where is it? Gears. I think I'm going to make gears. I'm going to put gears on a train. We'll need 4 machines making gears at full output. Although I might have to use, again, because of the speed, that's a half second as well. Because of the speed, I might have to, well, no, in this case, I can take productivity modules. So that's going to slow it down, and then I speed it up again with the speed module. So this should be okay. It might still be too fast. We'll have to see. But in any case, because we need gears for red science, green science, and blue science for the engines. And actually, I think we also need them for high-tech science. Yeah, because the robot frames are going to need engines, and those are going to need gears. So 4 of our 6 science packs are going to take gears. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to have trains moving gears around the base because each gear represents 2 iron plates. So I'll have less traffic if I convert iron plates to gears before I take them out of the smelting area. So I'll set up these gear machines in the smelting area, and so the iron smelting area will be exporting iron plates, steel plates, and iron gears, and maybe even pipes too. Let's see what we need for pipes. Well, pipes are not so important because it's 1-to-1. Yeah. Although I don't get any productivity for pipes, so yeah, so it wouldn't really benefit me to do pipes there. Yeah, so I think I'll just do the gears and then I'll do the pipes on site. And what I mean is, since each gear is 2 plates, like a train full of gears is much denser, or is like twice as dense, actually more than twice as dense, since less than twice as dense since I'm getting productivity bonuses. But anyway, it's more dense than moving the plates. Yeah. Okay. So that's about it for the planning. Let's get to the base and get to work. Okay. Well, I've lit up my logo just in case nobody noticed it. It makes it stand out a little bit more this way. Okay, so I think it's time to start building the main part of the base. Although I'm thinking about adding a little bit more reactor. Maybe I should do that first. Because these 4 reactors, ideally I'd like to have enough to power the whole base. Is that one still ghosted? Yeah, it is. Alright, so let's get more RoboPort. Will that get there? No, that's not going to get there. Okay. Let's move this over a bit. Or actually, I'll put one over here. There. I know this area is not going to be occupied, so. Okay. So I'm going to go to my blueprint book, or the blueprint book. It's actually Andrew's blueprint book. And get the 4 reactor version. Right, so you can see how this kind of lays on top. I'll need to move a few things. Namely this power pole. That's okay, I think we can do that. Okay. And then I'm going to need to get rid of this too. Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, what I can do is connect the power down here on the end. There we go. That way it shouldn't interfere with the expanding blueprints. Actually, I might have made this too close to my solar. Okay, so let's make some of those offshore pumps that we're going to need, and then the bots will be able to handle the rest. Except for the reactors. Those aren't there yet, so I'll have to go craft those myself. Now this blueprint was made back in a time where you had to add heat pipes to handle higher rates of heat transfer. But I don't think that's required anymore. So I'm going to remove these extra heat pipes. Oh, no, actually I should leave that, because they're going to need to connect. Okay, let's go get some reactors. All right, everything else is in place. And then I want to start setting up the iron smelting area. Okay, how many we got? All right, we got 1 reactor. I'll just put that in my trash so the bots can get it. And then we'll wait for it to craft another one. Or maybe I should just let it, bank some. So I'll just tell it to leave 2 in there. Let's see. Okay, so that way when we're ready to expand again, we'll already have 2 reactors ready. All right, that's going to chew up a lot of copper to begin with, but we'll catch up eventually. Have I launched? Did I launch another rocket? Because it looks like I'm more than 50% on the science. Okay, I've got the satellite, but it's still at 49%. All right, well, it's making progress. We'll just have to be patient, I suppose. Okay. So what I was thinking to put an iron smelting up here. Let's put some text on that. Or iron, steel, and gears. I was thinking of putting up here. You know, we've got these iron patches all over, so my thinking was that we can have a bunch of rails going around the inside of the wall. You know, so these things could connect, all these different patches could connect up here and then come around and then feed into the iron smelting, steel and gears, and then from there it can go out to the other parts of the base. And then we could have steel. I mean, we could have all the smelting in this upper corner. So the iron, the steel, the copper, stone brick, and that's it. That would be all the smelting we need. It's going to be a lot, of course, at this scale, but I think we can fit it all up in this corner. So let's go and do that now. I've got beacons, I've got some modules. I am going to need some blue belt. I'm not sure if I want to do this with belts or bots, to be honest. We'll take a look at it. Okay, and I'm going to look at my planner again. So the planner says I need 468.6 furnaces making iron plate. Now, a lot of that is going to be used to make steel. And steel, according to the planner, needs 310. All right. So it would be tempting to say that 310 of the iron furnaces are going to be used to make steel, but that's not quite true because we get a productivity bonus from the iron. So to feed 310 steel furnaces, we'll need 310 iron furnaces minus the 20% productivity we're going to get, right? Because with 2 productivity modules, we're going to get a 10% productivity bonus. So it would be 300 divided by 1.2, which is 258. Okay, so 258, well, yeah, that's if we don't set them up into 1-to-1 ratio, which I think is probably the best thing to do. We could set them up 1-to-1, but it's not going to be as efficient because of the productivity. Like, we're not going to have that perfect ratio between iron furnaces and steel furnaces once we get the productivity modules involved. All right, so 258 out of the 468 are going to be for steel. So that means we need 210 furnaces just making iron plate. So let's start with that, and then we'll build up the steel portion of it. Okay, so I'm going to go up to, I guess we'll go up to around where it says supply 9, and we'll start building. And this is going to be, you know, I'm kind of winging it right now. I'm going to come up with the design now. So I'm not exactly sure how this is going to turn out, but we'll see. Hooray for signals. Oh, crud. All right. Go back to the base. I didn't think of that. All right. Now go to the temporary stop. So I'll probably have to do something to rework that a bit. While we're going there, let's see how the deconstruction of our old perimeter is going. Oh yeah, it's going terribly. I'll have to do it myself. Now with the temporary stop, I need to go into manual mode as soon as I get there, because if you don't, then after the 5 seconds, it'll delete that stop from the schedule, and then I'll continue on to my other ones. Right? So that's why I always end up stopping it first. And then I'm going to want to get my train out of the way so that the supply train can get through. So let's do that. I'll get off the track here. Okay. All right. So the first thing is I'm going to want rail to come in from the iron mines. 1, 2, 3. Boom. 1, 2, 3. Boom. And I think what I'm going to do is make the rail system two-directional. Bidirectional, as some people like to say. Right, so we would do something like this all around the outside of the base. And this is what is going to, and my idea was that we have separate lines. 1, 2, 3, there. 1, 2, 3, there. Right, so my idea was that we have 3 separate lines, or sets of lines, 1 for iron, 1 for copper, and 1 for stone, going around the perimeter. Maybe not all the way around the perimeter, but like there's no, well, I don't know. But certainly along the bottom of the base, coming up this side so that we can enter the smelting area from over here. Okay, so we need to reserve this much room around the outside and a little bit more here since we need to come in a bit. I could maybe landfill here so I can keep that straight. That might be a good idea. And over here too, maybe I'll do that. That'll give us more room to build on. In fact, where we have water, I could even landfill into the lakes and build out there. And as long as I keep water all around me, the biters won't be able to get us. And I'm probably going to have to landfill all the water inside the base again so that I have more land to build on. But we'll get to that when the time is right. Okay, so this will be the feeder system, let's say. From there, I think I'd like to have I'll have the trains come in. We're going to use 282 trains, which are going to be the same size as my personal train here. 282 trains for the ore, and then 141 for the plates. Right, and we said I'm going to need 210. How much ore is that going to use? Well, let's do a little bit of math here. So I'm going to be using, according to the calculator, I'm going to be using 65,010 iron ore per minute. Okay, and that includes all the productivity bonuses that we're going to get. All right, so 65,000 ore per minute, and that's going into 468 furnaces. We'll call it 470. So that means each furnace is going to need 138 per minute. And if I want to bring in one train a minute, I think that's going to be too much. Let's say to each set of furnaces, I want to bring in one ore train every 2 minutes. Okay, so and one ore train can hold 16,000 with 8 cargo wagons. So if we take 16,000 divided by 138 per furnace, and that's 2 minutes, right? 16,000 every 2 minutes. Yeah, so it's actually 8,000 per minute divided by 138. So that means we can have 58 furnaces for each train. All right, so every 58 furnaces that I build here, I want to have one train line feeding it. All right, so let's start to set that up and see what it's going to look like. So I'm going to grab some beacons and some furnaces. And let's grab some blue belts too, so we can see how it would be with belts. All right. So, and the basic layout is going to be like this. Is that right? No, I think it's got to go out one more. One space here too. Yeah. Okay, so that's how you get 12 beacons on a single assembly machine. That's 3x3. And then you have enough room to bring in essentially 4 belts, depending on how you lay this out. All right, so this is going to be like the basic unit. So if we do 58 of these, that would be, what is that, 29 per side? That'll be pretty big, actually. All right, I'm going to turn off my RoboPort because I just want to ghost this. So it's 2, 3, 4, 5. 10, 15, 20. Yeah, this is huge. This is much bigger than the train. All right. Let's say 58. All right, so let's divide 58 by 4. That would be, let's say 15 per side. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, so let's get rid of all those. All right, so that's actually a little bit more than what we need. Okay, so let's say we did 15, right? And then we can have the rail down the middle and then 15 on the other side. And then those would feed out to a train that's going to come in this way and exit out on the right side. So that way the ore trains and the plate trains are going to be on different rail networks. Okay. So now I just have to figure out if I want to do this with belts or with bots. If I do it with bots, I can make it much more compact, right? Because we can just empty out into chests and then just have requester chests in there. In fact, if we do that, we could even make this, we could even remove these spaces and make this more compact. We will need a lot of bots though. And the 58 out of the 200 and something, so I'll need like 4. Man, I'm going to need a lot of these. How many furnaces did I need for iron? 468. So let's just say 470 divided by 58. So I'm going to need like 8 of these units. So we'll have 8 trains, 8 ore trains coming in, or at least 8 ore train lines. All right, let's see how big this has to be. Okay, turn my bots back on. Just for a second. Okay. Right, so I could have this, I could have them, the trains come in like this, basically. And then the exit train, you know, the exit train could even be in the same spot. It's going to be a smaller train. Now, if I do bots, yeah, there's no place to put roboports with this layout. Let's see. Well, let's see. Yeah, okay. If I move this over, yeah, I could put roboports next to the rail. All right, let me remove that. I'm just turning on my roboport just just enough to pick that stuff up. All right. So let's put the rail down there. And I also would like to, oops, let's mark out where the cargo wagons are going to be. This would be easier if I actually had a train with me. But sometimes I'm not as smart as I ought to be. Okay. So we would have wagons here, so we could have, whoops, 6. Did I leave room for inserters? No, I didn't. All right, so it would be like this. Right, and then we would just have stack inserters going in there like that. All right, so there'd be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, and then not enough room for roboports there. Is that clear? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so this'll have to move. So let's get rid of all that. All right, and then like I said before, we can make this a little tighter if we use bots. All right, so I'm going to want that first one to be lined up here. No, one more. Okay. Okay, so that's the same 12 beacons. And then we can have, you know, it'll be a little bit off center now, but that's okay. And then there's a requester chest. There's a provider chest. And then stack inserters. Like that. Okay, so that's going to be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And then the same up here. Oops. Okay. Right. Yeah, and then this roboport will have enough coverage to get that whole side. Okay, and then we can duplicate the same setup on the other side. And this way these trains are going to empty at a blazingly fast pace. Okay, so that's one smelting unit, and there's going to be 8 of these. Okay. And I'm going to have to, and I'm going to leave a little space in between. Actually, will this cover both sides? No. Yeah, so we do need roboports on both sides. You know, and I would probably just have like one in front of each row of chests. Right, and then over here where we pick up the plates, we're going to have requester chests that are requesting the plates. Okay, and then this roboport as you can see, it extends a few tiles. So what we would do is we won't be able to share those beacons. We'll leave a few spaces and put the next one. Yeah, I think we'll need more space than that. Hang on. So it's looks like 2 tiles. Yeah, 2 tiles there, and then 2 tiles on the top. Okay, so we'll need, that means we'll need 5 tiles of space in between each one. So that way the RoboPorts for each set of smelters will be isolated from the other ones. And that'll prevent robots from flying all over the place and losing a lot of time on travel, right? This way all the bots for this area will just stay confined here. And this unit will have its own set of bots. And that way the bots won't have to travel outside of this small area here. Okay, now let's see how long a 141 train is going to be. Hey, looks like my artillery is going to work. Oh, my range increased. Nice. I didn't hear anything. Shouldn't I have heard something? Anyway, let's look at our turret range now. Yeah, awesome. So that goes out quite a bit farther. Sweet. Oh yeah, see, look at all this stuff we can get that we couldn't get before. That's great. I'm going to be losing bots to fire. Possibly. Okay. So 141 is going to be 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1. It's going to be that long, right? So let's see if we can fit that in here. If we could fit both trains. Oh, yes. We can fit both trains in the same area. Awesome. Okay, so this is essentially it. This is our smelting setup. And I'll actually put in, I'll include that as part of the setup so that I can, space them out properly in the blueprint. Okay, now the next thing is how we feed the trains into these things. What I want to do there, I think I'm going to need a stacker, right? If I want to have one train every 2 minutes, I'll need a stacker. Well, I don't know if I'm going to need a stacker. I need to leave room for a stacker. But here's the main thing. I want to have a single entrance. Let me get more rails so I can play with this. I want to have a single entrance to iron smelting, let's say. Okay, so all the trains, they'll go into the stacker. And then from there, let me just find some room to work here. Okay, so let's say we got a stacker here. And then all the trains are going to come out of the stacker. Right, and from the time they exit the stacker, this is going to branch off into 8 of these production units. And what I want to do is I want to make it so that the path to each of those 8 is the same distance from here. So that the trains will kind of evenly distribute themselves. Well, maybe they won't evenly distribute themselves. Whoa. Big attack over here. Yeah, so I'm going to lose some bots to fire over time. I might have to upgrade my supply system to include construction bots so I can replenish them. Okay. Anyway, I want to have the same path length to each of those units from the stacker. And I think if I do that, I won't have to worry too much about distributing the trains myself, because if you have multiple trains coming into the same set of stations, they'll normally just choose the shortest available path. Oh, this is going to get ugly. We're going to get some huge attacks over here. But if you keep them all the same length, then obviously that won't necessarily be the case. So what we could do, for example, is, from here, we could branch off into 2. And then, well, we would have to change the lengths here. But anyway, here, let me do this with belts. I'm just imagining that we do something like this. Right, and then from there, that splits off. Right, same here. Imagine that these are all the same distance, and then each of these splits off, right? It would have to be like this. So that eventually we just end up with 8 paths, or 8 paths to these different stations, and they're all the same length. That's the general concept that I'm after. So I know that's gonna require a lot of room, probably, but that's what I want to try. Okay, so I think what I'll do is, whoops, nope. Oh, don't start building that, guys. Crud. I'll create a blueprint of this. I don't have modules for it yet, but yeah. Yeah, so let's make a blueprint of that I can save. Okay. And then I can deconstruct it all. And then what I'll have to do is start building my rail system. Or actually, I'll leave this, because what I want to do is get the next... I want to get the next station in here. Oh, wouldn't you know it? Okay. So I'm going to need to leave 6 tiles of space in between each one, because with 5 tiles of space and with the rails in there, it's not going to be repeatable. Because remember, anytime you have rail stuff, all your patterns have to repeat in multiples of 2 tiles, right? So we'll have to put 6 tiles of space, and then we should be able to copy this to there, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Right, so on that thing that I was making with the belts, those final 8, this is the distance they're going to have to be from one another. Okay. So I could take that. Let's get rid of everything that's not a rail. Okay, so that's 3. Right, and then I can space them out and then figure out the rest of the rail to feed into that. Okay. So we'll get into that in the next episode. The other thing that we can do is we can move this up. Right, like we can move it as high as here, so that's where that RoboPort is. So let's deconstruct this. Okay. And I just want to leave a gap so that this RoboPort network, this robot network, is not part of this one, right? Okay, so we could move it. So the first one can be this far north, and then we'll work our way south from there. Okay, so that'll be next. We'll start building up the rail for that, and hopefully by then we'll have some more modules. In fact, I think what I might do is I might just build one smelting unit of each type. Like I might just build 1 iron or let's say 2 iron and 2 copper to start with. Leave the rest of it ghosted and then build up to circuits and everything, so that we can start mass producing green, red, and blue circuits, so that I can make all the modules that I'm going to need, because I'm not going to be able to make them fast enough in the starter base. So that's kind of my plan, is to, just build up a percentage of the infrastructure just until I can get all the circuits that I need, and then I can make modules and then build up the rest of it. Okay, well, that's enough for today. Thanks all for watching. See you soon. Bye.